Agriculture Secretary arrested over fraud allegations. Kukipi village and Gulf devastated by king tides. And Lace Neck's Tigers claim fourth premiership title.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Monday's news. The Department of Agriculture and Livestock Secretary Daniel Kombuk was arrested by police on Friday over fraud allegations. A warrant of arrest was released by the courts on the same day and the arrest carried out by the Police Commissioner's Special Investigation Team.
6 days after the National Court granted a stay application to maintain his status quo as the Secretary for the Department of Agriculture and Livestock, Daniel Kombuk was arrested by police over fraud allegations on Friday. The National Court on the 3rd of September stayed Kombuk's suspension from office pending the outcome of a judicial review currently before the court over the decision by NEC to suspend him.
We have a meeting and all of a sudden I see a group of policemen going up there with papers and they snatched me out of the meeting with the staff. It was very, very embarrassing and it's totally unbecoming too. And I told the policeman, if I am the secretary of the department and that was sustained by the National Court on the 3rd of September, then maintained that I am the secretary because the due process was not followed in the leading up to my suspension by NEC.
The recent arrest is over a separate incident. Police alleges that between 19 January and 26 January, Kombuk, 53, in his capacity as the Secretary for the Department of Agriculture and Livestock and as the Section 32 officer, corruptly approved a requisition for expenditure form to pay 112,000 kina to PNG Hybrid Citrus Nursery Limited, a company owned by his wife. It is alleged the payment was paid as a reimbursement of an unknown amount that Kombuk purportedly obtained as a loan on behalf of DAL from his wife's company. The money, police say, was to pay cash in advance to DAL officers at the project monitoring unit who would use the money for expenses related to the price support program to be rolled out in Maprik around March 2021. Police said the reimbursement funds were paid into the wife's personal bank account and not the business account. Kombuk admits reimbursing the funds but said the arrangement to borrow money from his wife was between his wife and the price support monitoring team.
They obviously wrote to my wife. They wanted some financial. My wife is, now they say it's lowering money. We don't lower money. And my wife doesn't lower money too. She's a hard-working mother. And all those dirty money that she had, she bundled all the money and she gave them about 75,000 kina. And they were, you can have it. And once, as and when you have your money, you can give it back to the wife. That's what I said. What I thought. Was they have agreed, not me, but they have agreed.
On the 10th of September, Kombuk was arrested and charged with offences of official corruption, misappropriation to the use of others, and conspiracy to defraud the Department of Agriculture and Livestock of an amount of 112,000 kina.
They took me to Borgo police station to bail out, and so I bailed the 2,000 kina yesterday.
While Kombuk is disappointed at the manner in which he was arrested, he appeals to DAL staff to continue with their work and to not get involved in the drama. Shamin Poreambev, National EMTV News.
A policeman and his family were attacked by angry relatives of a person alleged to be beaten by the police officer. The police officer said the relatives of the suspect stormed their house at Gabi near Hanuabada, damaging properties and removing belongings, including cash. The police officer said his wife was assaulted as their two young children watched in horror. He has reported the matter to the downtown police station.
Stone him house, Lomina, Mary beginning to while we plus sleep stuff. Then me open window look no bottle just smash the window goes at cutting over blooming blood one time me come outside. Then all lucky she was me cutting one from man knife no second number. While me sleep no minus out on his and you come up. Then me all stone him house plug then I'll go back. All come back in 2 o'clock sun time, afternoon. Assault Mary Blummy, broken clothes blame. Two black piggy Blummy stop inside the house. While I'm stone, iron, everything in more charge Blummy. As a policeman, me come said me talking more. He plus would carry him low, come me straight him straight. You know how you play a take him blossom. While me play, he said, me play mana me and me play harder. He plus would talk because me got two black piggy in Mary and he play take him directly with all those weapons. He play jamming louse him play. No, all kiss him over or something. All come go inside or smash him or fight him, broke him close to Mary, run him or piggy and me play him louse. Or family blow Mary come or rescue him or piggy inside louse. All walk something below me police uniform, all triple magazines, all spare magazines below me just stop inside house. Now all 5.56 bullets, all spare bullet below me. One and me put him inside a little box below me. Time to walk, so I'm actually go walk. M2 overall kiss him, uniform below me, all kiss him, all wear him. One plus suspect kiss him, wear him, then go start Brooklyn House. Police uniform one time, Brooklyn House. Bagara for me blogger, all top. Man him die. Actually man no die. Well like you nothing or bagara for me over something to me bagara for me. For my after hard work for years of hard work.
This thing would not have happened just because of false information that was related to the family in Gabi village, those Karamas. They all came up there. Information sent through by the victim's small brother was that the person has died. So they all came up there and mobilized and destroyed all the properties, everything. I went back there on Monday morning. Confirmed that the person was all right, he's not dead.
Kukipi village east of Kerema in the Gulf province is in dire need of relief supplies after king tides ravaged the home of close to 1,000 people. Food gardens and water wells at present are contaminated by salt water from the sea. The people are surviving with the little they have and are calling for help. Kukipi village is located east of Kerema in the Gulf province. Recent king tides have caused floods that devastated the area. 3 houses knocked down, the water wells contaminated, and food gardens drenched in seawater. Basic necessities are scarce and the people need clean water, food and medicine. The soil is still damp and soaked in saltiness from the sea. Crops are not growing well in these conditions. Locals are now traveling upriver to collect fresh water, but even this is a daunting task. The search for fresh water requires the use of dinghies which need fuel that can be purchased with money, which is hard to come by right now. Sources of income, crops and livestock were washed away by the floods. Kukipi is also the home of late Sir Mekere Marauta, who was born there in 1946. A YouTube video posted by Gabriel Haramairi shows the flooding around late Sir Mekere's house. Mary Lavalvita, a widow who built her house close to Sir Mekere's family home this year, told MTV that her house no longer stands. Churches and schools are also affected by this. The Kukipi community based in Port Mosby met yesterday at the Bert Brown Memorial Church at Hohola to discuss ways to help those in the village. They are calling on the wider Gulf community, donor partners and the provincial and national governments to assist them. You're watching National EMTV News. We'll have more stories after these short messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. Police in Medang has heightened security as the province prepares to receive the Governor-General Grand Chief Sir Bob Dadai tomorrow. Provincial Police Commander, Acting Superintendent Rubiang Manzuk, says police will not be taking part in the Guard of Honor, but will provide security, crowd control and escort for the Governor-General. He will be in Medang for 4 days and will also deliver his independence message before departing on Saturday.
According to the program, I also got information that during his stay in Medan Province, Gigi will visit Kalka Island. His wife will visit Bilbil. So we will also provide escorts and crowd control in this place. We are having a parade this morning, and I will brief my men more on this operation. We are prepared, and every part of Medan Province, Medan town, we already put our men, so they will monitor the movement, the crowd control, as long as any staff of this province building. Otherwise, so far, all my men are intact, and morale is high, and we can give best odds for his staying in this province.
This year is the first without the country's founding father, Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare. The family say life will never be the same without their father 6 months on after PNG's first and longest serving Prime Minister's death.
Mipla stapan te wariet, mipla olgeta stapet lo black or barta stape putimos krasna stapiet. En bipla stantilo mipla amamas lo lukimiet. Amamas lo lukim mi drive lo Mosby o lo olgeta lili hap kona lo Mosby old man flying flag na wermol cap lo flag na big pla amamas lo time lo independence I think so was papa em stop em man lo wari em ba amamas so sem mi pla kam now em amamas pla 4 pla 10 6 pla Christmas now blo mi pla sem mi pla sim independence plan is something lo country mi pla big pla road lo walk about it lo side lo country plan now lo disla ye em ba had through Pasa papa sleep na papa pase ai pinis na ba mi plata so ba mi plasta ponte mem lo antap lo clear heights lo mat blem na ba mi plat stop ta solante mem lo desladi.
And more of that interview with Daltiana Somare on our In Focus program with Bradley Valinaki at 7 p.m. right after the news. The National Forest Board has approved a revised organizational structure of the National Forest Services. The board has also appointed directors in line with their corporate plan to implement the strategic policy. 4 senior officers recently signed their new contracts to take up their new roles.
The 4 senior officers who signed their contract last Friday took up the positions of Chief Operating Officer, Director Field Operations, Director Resource Planning and Development, and Director Corporate Services. The 4 senior officers were long-time serving members of the National Forest Services. The appointment of these directors comes after revised organizational structure for the NFS were approved by the board, and it signifies their efforts to implement their strategic policies and restructure in line with the PNG Forest Authority Corporate Plan 2021 to 2030.
To announce to all our staff members that the board has confirmed they've agreed with me to appoint our directors in line with our corporate plan to implement our strategic policy going forward for forestry.
According to the acting MD, the appointment of other directors is on hold because of the reviewed structure. For Forest Enterprise, the board has approved a state marketing agency called DYPNG. It is a registered company with staff under the Forest Enterprise to be employed under the DYPNG Limited. The massive restructure is to ensure key functions are related to the corporate plan.
We have done a massive review to right-size it so that there is no leakage in our funds and all that. So we have the core functions relate to our corporate plan and our strategic plan.
National Forest Services is one of the 3 arms of the PNG Forest Authority, and it is the implementing or operational arm. The other 2 arms include the National Forest Board and the Provincial Forest Management Committees. The acting managing director says it is not easy to drive this new Forest Authority forward, and it is the responsibility of these directors to perform.
So the responsibility will be on those directors to perform, and you have your KRS to perform. And performance means that we have to have quarterly assessment of all your performance.
In this restructure, the National Forest Services is now headed by the Managing Director, followed by the Chief Operating Officer, which is a newly created position. This is followed by the directors. More interviews are expected to be conducted by the end of this month for other managers and directors. In accepting the appointments, the senior officers thanked the managing director and the forest minister and pledged to do their best to develop the forest sector. Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
Wap village in Kabum district, Selepet LLG, is one of the pioneering villages in the district to roll out the early childhood program. Last week, the director of the Mosby Education Reform Directorate, Harin Koreka, opened a classroom for the Wap Elementary School. This signified the implementation of the early childhood concept in elementary schools at the community and village level.
A team from the Mosby Education Reform Directorate was in Wap village last week to witness the opening of the duplex classroom for the Wap Elementary School. The presence of the team was also to raise awareness on Mosby's education reform structure 366 at the village level. The Mosby Education Division, through the Reform Directorate, is driving a campaign to implement the early childhood concept more in the rural communities. Director of the Mosby Education Reform Directorate, Harin Koreka, said there's more need for early childhood education in rural communities.
Not necessarily in the urban settings, because in urban we know that we have private schools there, international schools there, and we also have other, other ECE schools that are organized by churches. But out in the remote places like here, this concept would help those districts and the provinces that they feel that they have a system that has declined. Early childhood would help them to have their system improve, especially education system.
Kabum district was one of the first in Mosby to include the early childhood concept through its elementary school systems. This was after a training for elementary teachers in 2013, following a research that showed that the education system had seen a tremendous decline. This was based on Mr. Koreka's research, who was the provincial elementary coordinator at the time.
Our communities across Kabum district have seen the result of the children's academic, social, and general improvement in academic work, and therefore they're very supportive in the concept that we have at the district level.
Wap Elementary School is one of the pioneering rural schools in Kabum to introduce the early childhood concept to the elementary system. The new classroom was a community initiative in support of early childhood education in the district.
This classroom, me papa mama want to me artwork ikam. Now I'm come to finish home, now me plan like open him now.
Wap Elementary School has a student population of over 30 students. It is a feeder school to the Wap Primary School.
Tomorrow all begin by staff good, all by Simsave, all by come up somebody, never me plus staff.
Charlene Airy, National MTV News.
Where authorities are unable to deliver goods to remote areas, one particular group is reaching out. Named after the former telecom CEO, is doing wonders not just in Gulf Province but other areas as well. Today, the foundation members were recipients of a 20-foot container filled with health and education materials destined for rural communities in the Gulf Province and elsewhere.
The Peter Nathan Loco Foundation members today opened a 20-foot container filled with desks, hospital beds and equipments, school stationery, boxes of computers and more, set to reach remote areas of Gulf Province and other centers. Present also to witness the opening were recipients of the donations.
Foundation has donated 3 times already. Yes. The first donation came in 2018. After Peter Loco passed on, the sister Lucy, who lives down in Melbourne, came with 4 truckloads of 3-ton PMVs down to Lesewalai.
The donations include over 40 boxes of sanitizers, 19 boxes of face shields, 6 baby cots as donations for Port Mosby General Hospital, 20 laptops, 7 computers for Kerma Coronation Secondary, and many more.
They even sent into Enga in the Highlands, and there's more requests coming, and there's going to be a lot of work. And here in the city, we have St. Teresa's Primary School, Badili. We have the Papua Hahine. For the first time, Papua Hahine, I've been involved in this situation, and this container is going to Papua Hahine to praise the Lord. They've been waiting for so long, but it's only God's timing.
The donation I'm receiving on behalf of Papua Hahine is actually not for Papua Hahine. It's marked to me to go to safe houses. Some in Port Mosby and one in Kimber that I...
William Avai, an ICT teacher's dreams came true after the foundation president Lucy Loko saw his post on social media on the need for computers in Gulf Province schools and reached out to help.
My post went viral, and in June, Lucy Loko from Peter Nathan Loko Foundation saw my post, and she inboxed me and she said, "What do you want?" I said, "I need computers for the lab. I want to build computer labs in Gulf Province. That is one of my missions."
While shipping containers of donations coming into the country costs the foundation quite a lot of money, for this year, GFS Limited came on board to provide free-of-charge logistics.
Well, GFS is known for coming on board when it comes to charity. The management, I would like to make a mention of, have been very great. They're very supportive of a national company.
PNG Queensland Gulf Association rep, also attached to GFS Limited, appreciates the donations.
Actually, I'm speechless. It's awesome. It's exciting. This is my very first time ever to be involved in such a big donation coming in 20-foot container.
While government assistance takes a bit of work and a lot of time in reaching the remote schools, recipients say it is not enough.
The subsidy today, you see, are not much, but comparing what the foundation is doing is more than what the subsidy can buy. So I would say Peter Loko Foundation is doing more than 75% compared to what the government is doing.
He had a vision, and that vision is now been established, and the sister in Melbourne, Australia, is doing a great thing. I must say, we need to praise God for what's happening, because all the foundation is really about helping people, those who are in need. Where the government cannot go, where the churches can go, this foundation is going to go a long way.
To date, 4 containers have been donated by the foundation since its establishment in 2012. Founder Lucy Loko says it's time Papua New Guineans rise up and create a better life for themselves. Partnerships with NGOs and businesses is the way forward. She says with some 80% of the population still living in rural areas with limited access to basic health and education services, we cannot wait for the government to come and make this happen. Kilawani National MTV News.
And now looking at the NASFund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina will buy $0.2775 $, $0.3728 Australian dollars, $0.3858 New Zealand dollars, and 29.86 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee closed higher, cocoa and copra closed lower. Crude oil is trading higher, palm oil closed lower, and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. And back home, a family in Morata 2 is appealing to a man and his wife to come forward and give details of their daughter's death. 20-year-old Delma Wea was killed on the 8th of this month, with the suspects unknown and at large.
This is the house cry of Delma Wea, a 20-year-old murdered on the 8th of September at Morata 3 around 2 p.m. The family finding out the horrifying news through social media when her picture was posted to identify her. She is the only daughter to parents Pota Wea and Linen Niwi. She was stabbed with a knife on her side and left to die in a rented accommodation. The suspects, believed to be a husband and wife, are on the run. The family has reported the matter to police and patiently waiting for justice. But with no police leads after 3 days, the family is now appealing to the suspects to turn themselves in.
So, we will report to police now. Police must arrest him to the area. Now, we come up Wednesday 8 last week, but nothing happened until now, Sunday. So, 2 must report to police around and go to police. Gulalo too late go to police. Me late bani mo police bani me bani no gula too much.
So somehow come lo morota na die lo bus lo backside lo morota 3 swamp and die stablo house duablo one bla man we msa silip lo ngan. So this lab die all talk na this lab man meri inside man carry cam logan inside lo house kisim knife na come out na kampundan lo house no one die stab na tubla man meri stab inside logan escape. While time all narbla man Mary all rent and a stab long and all stab yet now. Why this la tubla man Mary go run away go? Me like him tubla must come out now, come give him information. Why tubla run away?
The case is a bit complicated as the suspects are unknown. They had recently moved to the rented accommodation at Morata. Community leader Peter Yawa said these sorts of stories are becoming too familiar as attacks to young ladies are happening too frequent.
I'll make him nothing. Without care, lo life long young plamerina, even mama too. So na mi kat plenty time is a concern. Now me talk out lo public also almost saranda. And one bla rotasol blang give him a piece long all line usat tindai na both sides by and by me bla come up in fish long this bla rot.
The family is also calling on any eyewitnesses to come forward. Shamain Poreambeb, National EMTV News.
Chukai Sports is next. All the details after the break.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. The Lace Next Tigers have claimed their 4th premiership title after defeating Wagitumbe 16-10 in the 2021 Intercity Cup. Tigers fullback Sonny Wabo snatched the Player of the Match award in the grand final showdown yesterday.
It all came down at the Oil Sets National Football Stadium in front of a packed crowd as Lace Next Tigers clawed defeating JPG Wagitumbe. Tigers, ending the regular semi-professional rugby league season in style, claimed their 6th minor premiership title before stamping their mark in grand final. Tigers coach Stanley Tappen registering 4 premiership titles under his belt in 5 grand final appearances.
This year's grand final probably more satisfying because we had a lot of boys that left us and went on to join the Hunters and that. So, I think we've done well to come this far, but winning it, like our captain just said there, it's quite huge. I think I'm just trying to soak it in now, but probably later on it'll probably sink in.
The Tigers were first to score through Ukajeri Teme. Another 4-pointer was added when Rugby Union convert Max Valley rolled past Tumbe's soft left edge. Tumbe had no breathing space as Tigers center Lionel Moli Poyo extended the lead. The JPG-backed side returned the favor with 2 tries to reduce the margin, clocking off first half with Tigers 16, Tumbes 10. But a sleek defensive effort from Tigers fullback Sonny Wabo in the final stage gave hope to Lace Next Tigers to retain the Intercity Cup.
Now, like come inside, something like 17,000 crowded and like something like feeling like you feel a difference there. Big like ready go back all boys to me no on papani todo ba. Without all me logat through law like teamwork and just we feel a good loan.
Tumbes' hope to snare a long-awaited premiership title was shot, but despite going down to Tigers, the inexperienced Wagitumbe coach Baundo Abba was satisfied with the results. He says this is the first time Tumbe have made it to the grand final.
As an inexperienced coach,
I bring a team to grand final. Like also, I'm feeling happy. Like yeah.
The match was scoreless in the second stanza, with Lace-Neck's Tigers coming out victors of the 2021 Intercity Cup. Suli, Trukai Sports.
The 2021 VC Grand Final rematch was played before the eyes of PNG on Sunday at the National Football Stadium. The match was played off between the UPNG Pythons and the 2017 title holders Unitec Spartans as a curtain raiser for the Intercity Cup Grand Final match, finally settling the decision where the Pythons snatched the cup to become the new VC Cup champions.
The VC Cup Grand Final rematch that was held as a curtain raiser was an opportunity given by the PNG RFL to declare a final winner between the UPNG Pythons and the Unitec Spartans. In the end, it was the UPNG Pythons that snatched the title and the VC Cup from the 2017 title holders, the Unitec Spartans, in a close score match of 19-14. Coordinator of the VC Cup tournament, Max Andrews, said, despite having a last-minute notice to have the match replayed, the tournament committee is grateful for the support given by PNG RFL.
We said both teams as dual winners, but then PNG RFL just chip in and they assist us. They want us to complete the rematch. I mean the game, so they tell us to come and. So they support us with logistics and every travels for the Unitex, for UPNG boys to just stay out for a day, for night, and we came back and boys turn up for today and they complete their game.
Despite losing the match, Spartans captain Stanley Robin acknowledged his team for giving a good game to the Pythons and thanked their sponsors and students of Unitec for their support.
Big man stand and Karim Blakam this far. Secondly, Milato, thank you, Lord. PNG, RFL, CEO, Stanley Undina, lo make him this something possible, lo bambla play la rematch. Thirdly, Mito, thank you, Lord, management to me, President of the staff, SRC, plus all executive spam. Mito, thank you, Lord, mi block this far. Fourthly, Mito, thank you, Lord, players to me. Now, all Unitec staff there, Mito, thank you, straight, Lord. Support na kind way, come support him, SIX. Unitec next students number.
As official winners of the Vice Chancellor's Cup, the UPNG Pythons will hold the title and the cup until the next VC tournament in 2023. Jamie Harrow, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues with more after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Mosby South select side for the Under-18 Boys Division rallied to do awareness on gender-based violence during the Southern Regional Trials. The boys were vocal on GBV in the two-day National School Rugby League Trials for the Southern Zone.
Apart from learning in the classroom and taking part in extracurricular activities such as sports, the Mosby South Under-18 schoolboys participating in the National School Rugby League competition did awareness on gender-based violence. Before their game yesterday, the boys gathered at Manu Auto Port bus stop and walked to Port Mosby International School Oval at East Boroko, doing awareness on the country's most talked about issue, GBV.
I came up with this initiative so that at least students will, students there in the progress of learning, this will help them to understand what is going or happening in the country. The main reason why I involve the students is to at least parents, when they see such because of the students, they will encourage and together we can stop the gender violence in PNG.
It may look small, but their campaign to fight against GBV is a collective effort to address this issue through sports. Mosby South Under-18 team captain Stafford Jones says other schools in NCD should see this as an example and contribute to such awareness.
I think we are the first school to do kind of that awareness, gender-based violence in public and show us as a student. Our message is to show other schools and other students that they can see as an example and do better as they can.
The team put up an electric performance in the Southern Zone trials, and John is confident majority of his teammates will be selected to play in the NSRL Championships next week.
We have been training very hard and working very hard for the trial, and we know that we can do it, and we want our team to make a consecutive straight win 3 straight wins, and all the boys will be selected in the Southern Zone.
The two-day Southern Region trials conducted at the Pomis Oval concluded this afternoon. Suli Trukai Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. There were the details coming up next.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
I'll look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Partly cloudy with brief afternoon thunderstorms, then mostly fine weather tonight in Port Mosby, and partly cloudy with afternoon showers in Popondetta. In the Momasa region, partly cloudy with brief evening showers in Lae and Vanimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly cloudy with some showers in Lorengau and Buka. And in the Highlands region, mostly cloudy with afternoon rain showers in Mount Hagen and Wabeg.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for this Monday. Stay tuned for My Province, My Country, our special independence program that's coming up at 8 p.m. tonight. On behalf of the news team, pleasant viewing and good night.